l'Environnement se rendre au Pérou pour la conférence sur les changements climatiques, son propre ministère a publié un rapport qui montre que le Canada n'a fait aucun progrès concernant la réduction de gaz à effet de serre dans la dernière année. Aucun progrès. Et la principale source de GES, les secteurs pétroliers et gaziers. Quand ce gouvernement va nous présenter un plan pour réglementer des grands émetteurs?
Monsieur le Président, évidemment, à ce côté, on ne favorise pas la taxe sur la caravane prônée par le NPD. Mais, Monsieur le Président, pour la toute première fois de l'histoire, on a réduit les émissions de gaz à effet de serre pendant une période où l'économie est en croissance. But, Mr. Speaker, specifically to the issue of oil and gas regulations, this government's position has been clear that we want to see oil and gas regulations on a continental basis, given the integrated nature of this industry. Mr. Speaker, with the current conditions in the oil and gas sector, this government will not consider unilateral regulation of that sector.
The honourable member for Halifax.
Mr. Speaker, the report shows that per capita our emissions are actually rising. So the UN Secretary General, Environment Canada, in fact the whole planet knows that Canada is failing. Yet the Environment Minister arrives in Lima with empty promises and more talking points, but nobody is actually fooled here. Ban Ki-moon has begged Canada to show more ambition and vision on the climate file. It's about global responsibility, not about domestic politics. So when will this government finally take climate change seriously?
Exactly. The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government is working with our international partners to achieve a fair and effective climate agreement. We are a founding member and major financial contributor to the Climate and Clean Air Coalition. We are also addressing short-lived climate pollutants under the chairmanship of the Arctic Council. We have fully delivered on our Fast Start financing, which has helped more than 60 developing countries reduce emissions and adapt to climate change, Mr. Speaker. And we've recently announced more money for the Green Climate Fund. And we believe any international climate agreement must include meaningful and transparent commitments from all major emitters, Mr. Speaker, and we'll do our part without a job-killing carbon tax.
The honourable member for Halifax.
Mr. Speaker, earlier in question period, the Prime Minister said that he will not regulate GHG emissions from the oil and gas sector. Will the Prime Minister confirm that he is in fact breaking his promise to regulate the oil and gas sector?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as you know, the government has been pursuing our sector-by-sector regulatory approach. We've integrated our regulations in the transport sector with the United States. On the electricity sector, we've been ahead, gone much farther than the United States. I've been very clear, Mr. Speaker, in terms of regulating the oil, gas and sector. It is something we would like to do, but that we must do on an integrated basis in a continental economy. And frankly, Mr. Speaker, under the current circumstances of the oil and gas sector, it would be crazy. It would be crazy economic policy to do unilateral penalties on that sector. We're clearly not going to do it.
Member for Halifax.
Mr. Speaker, back in 2007, he promised in this House, and I quote, he will bring in a national system of regulation for the control of greenhouse gas emissions and air pollution, unquote. So now, as countries from around the world act as the largest emitters act, including China and the U.S., this Prime Minister and that government are letting Canadians down. So will the Prime Minister live up to his promise?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
In fact, Mr. Speaker, nobody in the world is regulating the oil and gas sector. I'd be delighted if they did. Canada will be there with them. But we are not going to impose unilateral penalties. And let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker, on the difference on this side of the House. Our commitment to Canadians is that we are going to reduce greenhouse gas emissions while preserving, protecting and growing Canadian jobs. That's our commitment. That's what we'll continue to do. We're not going to kill jobs, and we're not going to impose the carbon tax they want to put on Canadians.